The financial crisis of 2008 was brought on by the engineering, financial, scientific, managerial, cultural elite that go to the World Economic Forum every year and preach that you're racist and you're nativist and you're xenophobes.
I thought your speech was a textbook populist speech. If you wanted sort of the definition of it, you had it to a T. And so,
did Paul Lewis just give me a compliment?
Oh my goodness! It's intended as an accurate description of what you did.
Why did you say that?
Well, because in framing it as a battle between the pure people and a nefarious, corrupt elite,
yes.
you were saying that you
yes.
represent the people like no one else does, and you were suggesting that there's a singular popular will. And in all of those things, that's sort of populism incarnate.
Yes, I would say that's correct. Here's the thing. I come from a family of little guys, right? I got a dad's 97, still lives in the same house we've lived in for 50 or 60 years.
I'm not sure that's why the speech was populist, though. I think it's more strategic than that.
What do you mean?
I think you are effective at using that discourse because you understand its power.
What's the power of it?
I think the power of it comes from the fact that we've reached a point in history where people's frustrations at elites are justified.
Okay, I would agree with that.
Right-wing populists are on the rise across Europe. Their parties are gaining ground in Germany, Hungary, Sweden, Italy, and France.
Vive la France!
And with European parliamentary elections approaching, they're being offered help from a wealthy American.
Your children are going to be poor and your grandchildren are going to be paupers.
He's the ex-Goldman Sachs banker who helped elect Donald Trump.
Everything from here on in is going to be hard and nasty and ugly.
He's been exiled from the White House and ousted from his far-right website, Breitbart. Now Steve Bannon's running a campaign machine to boost Europe's far right. He's calling it the Movement. Bannon's project was hatched in this London hotel in July, when he convened a meeting with figures from across the far right.
Busy? Yeah, good busy though.
2 days later, he told me his plan.
The beating heart of the globalist project is in Brussels. If I drive the stake through the vampire, the whole thing will start to dissipate. We'll call it the movement or the cause or something like that. Everything converges on May of 2019, and that's literally when we take over the EU. It's going to overwhelm the news cycle.
President Trump's former advisor Steve Bannon has announced plans to spark a right-wing revolution in Europe.
Präsidentenberater Steve Bannon hat
fédérer les droites radicales au niveau européen avec l'objectif de fracturer l'Union européenne. C'est comme ça que ça s'est raconté en tout cas.
He's getting wall-to-wall coverage. But how much of a threat does Bannon really pose to Europe? He invited me to Venice to meet the managing director of the movement, the Belgian politician Michael Madriekeman.
Hey, how you doing?
Good.
Michael. Bonjour. Nice to meet you.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure.
First thing is that we have to liaise. We have to liaise because the opponents, globalist force, are just unified already. And we are just a bit isolated, or we feel isolated, everybody in its own country.
Usually people talk about a movement and it's a people-led, grassroots, ground-up thing. This is different. This is top-down.
You're being quite pejorative. You're being quite pejorative. Well, because he had this thing called the movement. I was very fortunate, right, to come in contact.
Yeah.
And over time, it may metastasize into something different. Right now, when Napoleon's to his marshals said, when you set out to take Vienna, take Vienna. May 19 is Vienna. That's all that matters.
Okay. Michael, just tell me, your party, I forgot the name.
People's Party.
The People's Party. How many members do you have?
We have approximately 5,000 members, but it's small Wallonia, 5,000 members today.
That's
And-
not.
but
I know it's Belgium, but it's not a particularly big party.
If the membership in Belgium is not that much. But
And how
we-
many
but we
how many
have
members of the European Parliament do you have?
No, none.
None.
I was intrigued that Bannon had chosen Madrikaman to run the operation, which was based at his home in Brussels.
Welcome, all team.
This is quite some place you have.
HQ of the movement.
This is it. This is going to be mission control, is it?
Yeah,
Right.
indeed.
I see. You specially commissioned this picture.
Yeah, because and to put it exactly here.
Right.
So it's give the feeling of the spirit of this mansion. Indeed, he would have been part of the movement. I have no doubt about this.
You think Churchill would have wanted to do business with Steve Bannon?
Yeah.
This is the mansion that Bannon and Madrikaman call their war room, providing far-right parties help with polling, data analytics and social media. Michael wanted me to see a letter that he sent to Trump in 2016.
Have a look.
This is you setting out why you think there should be a movement beyond America's shores.
Exactly.
And what did they do with this?
Nothing at that time. We planted the seeds. Took a year and a half, to come to fruition.
So 18 months later,
Yeah.
probably not coincidentally, after Steve Bannon was exiled from the White House and chucked out of Breitbart, he came to Europe to enact this vision, basically.
Exactly. Merci, Jacques. Cheers, guys.
Some people say what's happening with politics right now has echoes of the 1930s. And I just want you to sort of reflect upon how you would feel if you had a hand in something that leads in that direction.
They are just trying to bring fear and to smear the movement by just claiming, analogies to the 30s and so on. I believe this will be the dividing line of Western politics for the next 20, 30, 40 years. It will be really the line of battle between these two visions. On the one side, the globalist approach with the Macron, Merkel, Obama style, UN style.
And the other side?
And the other side, all the sovereignist, Salvini, Orban, Trump, of course, and basically our movement.
Let me just ask you this. You think history will judge you well for being on the side of Trump, Orban, Salvini?
Yes, because it's not that we are on the side of Orban, Salvini or Trump. It's just that we believe that we are on the side of the ordinary guy.
Madrikaman left me with questions about who Bannon was doing business with. Several far-right parties were expressing doubts about the movement, but I wanted to meet a politician open to the idea of collaborating. Philippe de Winter, a leading member of the far-right Flemish party, Vlaams Belang.
Omwille van die ene duidelijke boodschap. Onze mensen eerst. Eigen volk!
Tell me about the meeting in London you had with Steve Bannon. Do you like him as a person?
Yes, I do. I had the opportunity to speak with him. I was sitting next to him for 3 hours, and he was
You sat next to
a
him?
very clever man. He's also very funny guy, really sympathetic. But he's an American, of course. He's not a European. But also because he has a lot of experience.
How did he describe the mission here in Europe?
His mission is quite simple: to unify the right-wing patriotic movements in Europe. That's it. We want an immigration stop in our country and certainly in the big cities.
No immigration at all?
No. I think we should stop Islamic immigration to Europe because it's causing a lot of troubles, a lot of problems.
When you say Islamic immigration, you mean immigration to Europe of people who are Muslims?
Immigration coming from Muslim countries.
Did you have that policy before Trump? Because that was the famous policy during the campaign.
We already had it before Trump. Trump copied us, not the other way around.
De De Winter spoke about his affinity with Trump in this speech to Greece's neo-Nazi party, Golden Dawn.
They want to abolish the Christian, white and Western identity of Europe. And European liberals want to install a sort of global citizenship and a one-world culture. The future is ours, the future is to the Trumps and to the Putins and to the Orbans of this world.
When you gave the speech, there's a lot of applause in the room with Golden Dawn supporters who were supporting your opinions. And one of the things that you said was that left parties want to abolish the Christian, white and Western identity.
That's right.
What's a white? Explain to me what the white part of that is. What's white identity?
It's about our way of life, it's about our values, it's about our civilization.
White, just explain the white element.
Why are you so fixed on the word white?
Well, I didn't say it, you did.
Yes, well, why are you so fixed? Why are you not fixed on Christian values or on Western civilization or on the word European?
Because white would denote racism.
Is white racism?
If you talk about white values...
I'm a white person. Does that make me a racist?
If you think your values are superior to another race's values...
Our values, our way of life is
it would make you
superior
racist.
to other ways of life, yes.
I
think that our values are superior to Islamic totalitarianism.
But Islam is a religion and white is
Islam is a political ideology.
Okay, well, we'll disagree on that, but certainly white is a racial categorization, right?
But we don't have to disagree.
But you can have white Muslims.
In our country, journalists ask questions. I disagree with politicians, not with journalists. Okay? I'm not here to debate with you. You ask me a question, I give an answer. That's what a journalist should do. Not to disagree or to agree with a politician. I don't know. That's the way it works in my country.
Okay.
I think this is the end of the interview. Thank you very much.
I'm happy to talk to you about today in your speech.
And I'm going now to the rally.
You don't want to continue the questions?
If far-right populists seem emboldened right now, they have reason to be. Their parties have gained ground in Sweden, Denmark, Germany and France, and they have cabinet seats in Norway, Finland, Poland, the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Austria, Hungary, Bulgaria and Greece. Their most recent entry into government, Italy, where the dominant force in politics right now is Interior Minister Matteo Salvini. The leader of the far-right League, Salvini came to power in a right-wing alliance that included the female leader of a party called Brothers of Italy.
What's her name? Giorgia Meloni. The woman? Brother of Italy is one of the old fascist parties. It's one of the old right-wing parties.
It used to be fascist, but neo.
Remember, Bannon's theorem, you put a reasonable face on right-wing populism, you get elected.
Bannon was meeting Meloni in his hotel. He invited me to join them.
We are fighting with our movement for the defense of identity, borders, what Europe really is, something very different from the Europe we know now.
The Brothers of Italy is a party that has neo-fascist or post-fascist heritage. Is that correct?
Heritage, eredità. We are the party of Italian of right in Italy, but you know what? I was born in 1977. The fascism was finished 30 years before. There is no connection. I mean, we are not fascists.
Would you say neo-fascists?
No.
Okay. But when you launched your campaign earlier this year, you did so in the city of Latina, which was founded during the Mussolini regime.
So that's my.
Well, I just wanted to know.
I lied to the fascists, but I was elected in Latina.
Well,
that's what you're saying.
No,
you're not saying that.
And you were also accompanied by. You were also accompanied by Mussolini's granddaughter, and I just wondered what kind of image you thought that would project, launching your campaign in a city founded by Mussolini with Mussolini's granddaughter. What was the intention behind that?
Oh, the intention was not the particular. We are very strong there. I think sometimes you have got a wrong way of saying Italy. Mm-hmm. It is a very easy way of reading that. Mm-hmm. But you know what? Politics in Italy is a very difficult thing.
Steve, when you told me you were going to meet Georgia, you described Brothers of Italy as a neo-fascist party.
I don't think I did.
You did, twice.
Questo c'è una fissazione.
I don't think I did.
So I just wonder who's right. Is it not a neo-fascist party or it is? Because that's what you said to me.
I don't think I did at all. I don't think I did.
What do you say?
I don't remember saying that.
I will let you write what you want, okay? I try to explain you why it is different.
The neo-fascist thing, does that not concern you?
I know, because you look at their roots. You look at the roots and where they came through, and where she's actually going today. I don't even think she's that far right a party.
Critics might look at the people you have involved, the people you're talking to, the people you're doing business with, from Georgia Maloney through to Philip de Winter, and say that, these are parties with connections to neo-fascist history.
I think you're trying to say, oh, these guys are a bunch of Nazis.
You know what?
Yeah. No, we're partnering with, I think parties are going to become quite mainstream over time.
You're normalizing these people, aren't you, Steve? That's what you're doing. You're normalizing these people.
That's absolutely not correct.
Normalizing? What are you
No,
talking
that's
about? I'm normal alone.
That's their new.
Wait. I'm normal alone.
People will find it deeply offensive, particularly Jews who live in Europe.
Hang on for a second.
You're talking alone. My God, you didn't hear me. 25 years I'm doing politics. I'm fighting for my people. Is a problem for that for you?
A few days after this meeting, the movement announced its first major recruit. Salvini was the star guest at this year's Brothers of Italy conference.
Qua sotto questo tendone ci siano gli ultimi difensori dei veri valori europei e dello spirito gli odiatori dell'Europa stanno fuori, stanno dall'altra parte.
But there was another speaker on the bill.
Do you know who this man here is? No.
What is your name? Non mi dispiace.
No.
Savona? Savona?
No, Steve Bannon?
Ah, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Sinceramente l'ho letto, ma non lo conosco proprio.
You don't know Steve Bannon, his name is.
Sì.
He's an American who helped Donald Trump. And is now you remember, and he's here in Italy.
For someone who was barely recognised, Bannon was getting a lot of media attention. He was hosting reporters day and night. The intensity of coverage was curious, given that outside of Italy, Bannon was struggling to recruit members. France's Marine Le Pen and Hungary's Viktor Orbán appeared ambivalent about involving an American in their campaigns. And parties Bannon was courting in Denmark, Sweden, Finland, Poland, Austria, the Czech Republic and Germany were all indicating they would not sign up. Later that night, Bannon invited me back to his hotel. We were joined by Raheem Kassam, previously Nigel Farage's top aide, and now the person that Bannon calls his head guy in Europe.
So let's just talk about sort of who signed up and who hasn't, because you have got.
Some people.
Salvini
Can I say
now.
something? Some people may not ever admit they're signed up until after the European elections. Or because here's the thing, just got to remember. Once again, on the building blocks of success, I'm doing all the polling, whether there's a country officially in or not. Right? I'm doing all the data analytics whether the country's in or not. So it'll be there available to them. They can either use it or not use it. Some may actually use it without ever doing it. Our ability to help them set up war rooms and rapid response.
Why would they not want to admit that they were talking to you?
Well, it may be. They may have internal politics.
Let me put the more charitable view to you. That there is something happening in European politics right now.
Is there now? Is there now?
Let me just finish and then I'll get you to respond. Let me just finish the question.
Is there really?
It will be more effective if I ask the question and then you can respond.
Then I can mock and ridicule.
Which is, there's no sort of right-wing tsunami, but there is sort of a high tide of radical right parties.
Why are you saying that?
And it's effective, and Italy is a very good example of it. But what you can't deny about it is it has nothing to do with you.
I have no idea, and it doesn't matter. If I have no impact on it, it doesn't matter at all. It just doesn't.
It's good for your reputation, though, isn't it? If you can ride the coattails.
Well, I don't think it's riding the coattails. Look at the work I'm doing over here. I don't think it's riding the coattails. Ask Maloney. Why? No. Why? Is this? You have to say I got to break bad on Steve Bannon. right? That's what you're saying. We've welcomed you in here, and now you're asking the prick questions. That's fine.
They're difficult questions.
They're not difficult questions. They're not difficult. They're not difficult questions at all. Only you think they're difficult questions.
So just
by the way,
respond to the question.
Did you see the crowd tonight? Did you see the crowd tonight?
I did see the crowd.
And
That's no impact.
That's no impact. What do you think of the crowd tonight?
I'll tell you what.
What do you think of the crowd tonight?
I'll answer the question.
Okay.
The crowd tonight was there for Giorgia Meloni and Salvini.
I agree. By the way, I agree with that.
I think you're photobombing Italian politics is what I think is happening.
Oh, gosh.
The thing I saw tonight, though, was...
What did you see?
How effective you are at getting media attention. The media circus was there, and I think that part of what you're doing is succeeding. There is an impact in that.
What's the impact?
Well, this is how politics has changed. It used to be about parties, it used to be about grassroots, and we're in a digital era now, and somebody like you can come over here and you can create through this hype this notion that somehow you're pulling the puppet strings.
Oh,
when in the reality there's no one on the end of the
stop,
puppet strings.
Stop. See, this is where you're dead wrong. I'm not a puppet master. I'm not pulling puppet strings. That's ridiculous. You have this self-obsession that you guys matter. Here's what you matter.
Sure.
Here's what you matter. I'm answering your question. Please let me answer.
All right.
Please let me answer. Please let me answer. Here's what it matters. Nothing.
Okay.
Zero.
If it matters zero, why are we doing this interview? Why do you spend so much time with journalists? Why do you spend so much time courting the media?
Because people come to me and say, hey, we want to cover the story. We don't I haven't made one, Michael, come on over and sit over here. You got to get in this interview. Here, move over here. He always asks the tough questions, Michael, when you're not here. I want to go back to the thing about the speech. Why do you say it was a textbook thing of populism? You're a student of this.
You said I was complimenting you.
You don't consider that a compliment?
It wasn't intended as a compliment. It was meant to be descriptive. Well,
okay, fine. I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
You're saying it as a thing. I take it as a compliment.
Sure.
Because
So lots of people would say populism has quite negative connotations.
Do you think Trump's speeches are populist in nature?
Well, Trump's speeches have elements of populism, but they don't go the full way.
Why?
Because he's good at railing against the elites, but he is not so good at empathising with the people.
Why do you say that?
Narcissists don't make good populists.
Hang on. Shh. It's a live set, brother. Okay.
Because if you think you're the source of power and everything you say is correct, and you have that degree of sort of self-belief, it's not populism, that's more like authoritarianism.
Okay. Interesting.
And we will make America great again.
Bannon's success running Trump's campaign is a cautionary tale for anyone who doubts him. It took a decade for Bannon to emerge from the fringes of the Tea Party and insert himself into the heart of the White House. But elections in Europe are different to America, and after weeks of research, we discovered a major flaw in Bannon's plan: the law. Most parties that Bannon wants to help are in countries that prohibit foreign organisations from giving substantial support to campaigns. The only countries with both laws that give Bannon free rein and parties that want his support are Italy, where he's enlisted Salvini, and the Netherlands, home to the extreme anti-Islam MP, Geert Wilders. I had a chance to put this to Bannon during our last rendezvous in Paris.
Hey, sorry about this. It's been crazy.
Busy?
Yeah. Crazy.
What the experts have told us is that polling, data analytics, help with social media, setting up war rooms, all the things that you said you're going to do for these parties would be illegal in most of these countries.
My council hasn't said that across the board. I've already started doing as I told you, started to do the polling data, but if we can't share it with people, we're not going to be able to share it. So
So you wouldn't share it with these parties?
No, you can't. I'm not going to violate. I would never. I don't violate American election law. I'm certainly not going to violate European election laws.
The only countries where you have a willing partner and laws that allow you to do this are Italy and the Netherlands. And Italy is just about to pass a new law that would ban you from doing it. Just you and Geert Wilders.
It's a start.
That's a bit embarrassing, isn't it?
Well, I got to find out what the legality is.
What's the difference between a Russian interfering in a US election and American
interfering in a European election?
Well, I don't know if it's called interference. It's very different from a Russian or Chinese or other people trying to have influence.
Why?
Than because I'm a private citizen.
What's the difference?
Because it's not. I'm doing this as a populist that people approach.
What's the difference?
I'm not doing it as a White House guy. It's a huge difference.
But
I'm not associated. Hang on. I'm not associated with the White House. I'm not associated with the Republican Party. You know, I was approached.
You were Donald Trump's chief strategist.
Was
until last year. Of course, you're associated. It's a serious point. People are more aware than ever about foreign interference in elections.
I told you from day one, we would never violate European election laws in individual countries.
You know who commissioned that?
Who commissioned what?
The Arc de Triomphe.
Who?
Napoleon. I sense you're a fan of his. You quoted him.
When you set out to take Vienna, take Vienna.
But you're not going to take Vienna, Steve. Both parties in Austria have no interest in what you're doing, and the law doesn't permit you to do it.
You're absolutely well, I don't know about the Freedom Party, but you're absolutely incorrect.
But they said they're not interested.
Well, you should sit in the meetings I sit in. You know, I have a pretty good sense of where to spend my time and where not to spend it. It's very effective here, and you know, people appreciate it, and we're going to continue to spend it. I got a ball. Anything else?
Just 4 months into his European venture, it may seem like the end of the road for Bannon. But he's a master of propaganda. And whatever the law says, I sense he'll be back.